Previously, I made a video about the things you don't expect about HRT specifically, what that affects of the body. However, this is a video purely about social transition. No HRT mentions here. This is purely about what you'll experience in the wide world out there as a trans person. So to all the trans girls, trans boys, and non-binary friends, here is what I wish I knew about social transition before socially transitioning. So we'll start with something really light and fun, which is fashion in a general sense. Stuff that we wear, present with, that kind of thing. And that tip is that your fashion will probably change. At least a little bit. Maybe you'll commit to it the whole way through, who knows. You are experiencing the opportunity to socially be the gender that you always felt you were or found out recently. And chances are that means you never got to wear the clothes you actually wanted. You probably wore whatever was just practical because you just wanted to get it over with. However, now you can wear anything. So what do you even start with? Perhaps that one A-line black skirt that's in every trans meme, or perhaps a more practical cutesy jeans. Who knows? It's up to you. However, don't feel pressured to pick one fashion style and stick with it till the end of time. Not even cis people do that. Have you seen how like millennial people used to dress and how they dress now? So different. Crazy. Same goes for Zoomers like me and all sorts of generations. Throughout the course of history, we all just change how we look. That's fine. And you can stick to your look if you like to. I always had a little bit of a shift in the middle, but mostly stayed kind of the same. It just manifested differently. So my first fashion style was whatever I could get my hands on. I couldn't really be a chooser. I had to kind of just get whatever I could from friends. However, first time I could think about it, I wanted, and this is a little embarrassing to say now, I wanted to be a sweet Lolita girl and wear cute little frilly dresses and stuff. That was like the fashion style I thought was just the coolest thing that ever existed. That didn't really pan out. That's not how I dress. So, what happened? Well, one, Lolita clothing, it's very expensive and usually not made for my size. As someone that's 5'8", so am I 5'8"? I think I'm 5 foot, either 8 or 9. I don't remember. So that makes it getting it really difficult. You can custom make the stuff, by the way, or get it custom made by someone that knows what they're doing. All sorts of options. So as a result, it wasn't really in my budget as, you know, a literal 12-year-old. So I tried something else. We had, it's not a thing anymore, I don't think, but that was like this cool punk store that had like punky clothing, like skirts with like chains on it and like those chokers and like really edgy stuff. I tried it. It was kind of my fashion style for a little bit, not necessarily out of preference, but I thought it looked pretty cool and it looked good on me. I don't think it fit my vibe though. I'm a bit like soft-spoken and just soft in general, so it wasn't the vibe I wanted to portray, I guess, of looking like an edgy old girl. It was fun though. So for me at least, that was just a phase, but maybe it isn't for you. And then later on, I tried something very fun. I tried, I guess I'll describe it as early 2010s Pinterest core. Can that be a core genre? Can that be a core? It's kind of like those images of girls in cute skirts and flowy tops that end up being the picture of every early 2010s fanfic. So this was my inspiration. I love these images to this day. So I kind of just went all in with that fashion style. And I've been having a great time. So just do whatever you want to do, right? I think it's a fun fashion style for me, but the sky's the limit. You can do whatever you want. It can be very intimidating, but try to find a friend that's interested in exploring these and see what you like, you know? So fashion may change, but that's okay. Another thing, this will manifest differently depending on if you are trans feminine, trans masculine, non-binary, etc. Sexism. We hate sexism. But it exists. We can't make it not exist. That'd be ridiculous. Maybe someday, but it would require a long-term movement of lots of support. So we can't really do that ourselves. But we might as well be aware of how it will work. So, as you might guess, to the trans women out there, the more you're perceived as a girl, the more you'll experience sexism in that lens, right? Suddenly, your ideas in the group discussions will be a little neglected. Suddenly, your credibility in a thing you're good at is suddenly a lot lower. You know yourself, and you've proved this by your existence, that you weren't always treated that way. You're good at that thing, and you knew you were good at that thing, but suddenly, what changed? Your gender, right? So, it's a fun way trans women kind of prove that sexism's nonsense. Not that wasn't obvious enough already, but you're simply you. And it's weird that suddenly you're going to be judged differently just for being you, right? Bit crazy. Maybe even absurd. But it will happen at some point. And the first time it does, it really throws you off. For trans guys, you're going to experience the other side of it, I guess. Now, granted, assuming no form of sexism to men exists is absurd. It's just framed differently. I think it's worth understanding that sexism towards women is more common and more widespread, and that's why it's discussed more. However, there's ways that men can sadly be a bit overlooked, and trans guys may be experiencing that as they transition. You may also experience talking with like the bros, and suddenly the bros are saying something kind of sexist, but you know they're only saying that because there's no women in the room. And when someone's a trans guy and they experience that, I've been told that that's a very strange experience. You kind of experience part of sexism you never got to before. That can be a strange experience. And it gives you an opportunity to be a good example for men around you and say, no, we shouldn't be sexist to people, you know? But that can be a scary thing, right? So the way you're treated will differ. The stuff you'll be asked, like, oh, do you have a boyfriend? Do you have a girlfriend? That kind of thing. The way it's framed will change. Maybe trans girls will suddenly be asked about marrying someone like strong, secure, financially savvy, that kind of thing. Settle down. You may get asked the question of when you're going to have kids. And that can be a little triggering for a lot of trans women for obvious reasons. Whereas for trans guys, the way people are going to ask you about dating is going to be very different than maybe what you're used to. Sometimes when you hear guys talk about girls, it can be a bit blunt. However, do know that your sexualities are still valid, even if it's different than what you're expected to be. Just understand that socially, suddenly there'll be an expectation put upon you, and it may be different than what that expectation used to be, because society is kind of flimsy like that. Okay. Another thing, you may feel pressured to change your hobbies just because you transitioned, right? For the trans girls, you may feel a little pressured to not engage with masculine hobbies, and the trans guys will probably feel pressured out of feminine hobbies, right? Look, you can do any hobby, right? You don't have to change in that way if you don't want to. For example, I think ice skating is a very stereotyped as a feminine hobby. However, I've seen some trans guys like absolutely nail it at the rink, and it's really mesmerizing every single time. It's really cool. There's ways to do hobbies in a way that can align with your gender identity, right? You can be elegant ice skating in a masculine or feminine way. You can do weightlifting but still be masculine or feminine, doesn't matter. You can still enjoy video games. You can still do things that you enjoy. That's fine. You're allowed to do that, you know? And maybe there's hobbies that you didn't get to try, and now you feel more socially able to do that because you have more confidence in being yourself. And it's perfectly okay to suddenly do what's perceived as feminine or masculine hobbies just because it's easier socially for you to do them too. So it goes both ways. There's no shame in like transitioning, becoming a girl and suddenly wanting to do ballet. That's fine. But also, trans guys, when you transition, you don't have to stop doing ballet if you like it, for example. It works in that kind of way. You shouldn't feel like you have to stop stuff you enjoy, and you should feel free to start things that you do enjoy. Okay? Cool. For example, with me, I like dancing a lot. That's categorized as a feminine hobby, but I had it beforehand. It just kind of strengthened because I felt more socially compelled to do it. I play guitar, but I play metal guitar. And I remembered I was at this thing where there's a bunch of guys in a circle playing metal music. And I walked over and said, "Oh, can I have a try?" And he hands me the guitar and he starts explaining how to do open chords, which is a very basic thing for non-guitarists. So I just started playing and they stopped talking pretty quick. They're very friendly after that though. I was really happy about it. They just found it cool, you know? I was really worried because I was like, would I stick out? Would I seem weird? But no, people who like hobbies will find it cool that you engage in a hobby, simply put. Now it didn't go particularly well, but I got a motorcycle license last year. And when I bought a motorcycle, I was feeling intimidated because it was a very masculine space and I was the only girl there. That someone walked over to me and said, "Oh, it's really cool to see women getting into motorcycles." And that was kind of cool, you know? So it's not as like cookie cutter as you can imagine. You can do whatever, you know? Sure, I present very stereotypically feminine, but I can do whatever I want. You know, I could, if I really wanted to, I could do weightlifting. Not my thing, but I could. That's an extreme example. Probably the more masculine hobbies I have would be like playing guitar and like video games, because they're stereotyped as such. Remember, they're just stereotypes. You can enjoy whatever you want, and you can find euphoria in whatever you want. You know? Cool. So the last kind of point I'll make is you don't have to do what other people of the gender you transition to do. You can follow trends if you want, but you don't have to. For example, I'd say lately for women, a very popular fashion trend has been the baggy Y2K jeans that came back. I don't really like jeans, so I don't wear them. But you see it all the time at the shops. But I don't have to wear that if I don't want to. So it goes for everyone. I know like men's fashion trends don't seem to change as rapidly, but I'm sure like I'm just not noticing it, right? Another thing they definitely don't tell you. Okay, for example, see these buttons on this top? When it's a shirt intended for women, the buttons will be on the left side. Whereas if it's intended for men, the buttons will be on the right side. That's a subtle way the clothes can change and no one tells you. You suddenly buy a button up top and you're like, this isn't what I'm used to. This isn't the muscle memory. It's a crazy thing because I don't think anybody tells you that. Anytime I've ever seen that acknowledged by anything was a random Danger Force episode that had a trans character in it, which was kind of cool. Very cool. Thank you, Danger Force. Also one of the actors in it is also trans, coincidentally. So there's 2 people that are trans in Danger Force. So cool fact of the day. But anyway, you can wear whatever you like. You can try whatever you like. And you don't have to do what other people do. And there's no shame in doing what other people do if you want. Because there's a very complicated topic in socially transitioning. And you might notice I didn't bring it up. Passing. I don't have too much to say because passing is kind of arbitrary, right? I can't tell you objective tips on how to do that or how to experience that. But the only broad tip I can really give is if you really want a hardcore self-pass, and it's okay if that's what you want, there is an extent of following trends that may assist in that goal. However, if you feel like a certain different off-trend thing is important to you, you can find other ways to still be stealth and that kind of thing. There's all sorts of things that go into that. I don't think it's in my place to discuss how to pass or that kind of thing. I think the videos that promise that are a bit ill-intended, I guess. My only real tip is to broadly practice, like for the trans girls, practicing makeup, hair, that kind of thing. Outfits do you feel look good? And for trans guys, I actually don't know much about guy fashion, but if your hair looks good, that's probably a good sign. Probably. I don't know much about this, I'm sorry. As you can imagine, I kind of failed at being a boy, so you're not going to get the best tips out of me. But thankfully, trans mask visibility has increased enough. There's quite a lot of trans mask videos. So, in closing, transitions are a complicated thing. We often look purely at the hormonal aspect of it. I transitioned for like socially for like nearly a decade before actually medically doing it. But transition could take many forms, right? I went to school as a boy, but then when I would go to friends' houses or shops, I'd dress as a girl. So in that sense, I transitioned. But the way I did that was through wigs, makeup, and sneaky little tricks where I hid stuff in my bag. And not speaking at the shops because my voice wasn't quite there yet. So transition can take many forms, okay? There's a way you can transition now, in a sense. There's a lot of videos of how to transition now, that kind of thing. The gist of it is try to do what's comfortable. If you want to learn makeup, go for it. If you want to learn a new skill, go for it, you know? If you want to hit the gym, go for it, you know? That can take many forms. There's makeup for feminization. There's makeup for masculinization. So if any trans guys happen to have a lot of makeup experience, it's actually going to come in pretty clutch, actually, which is pretty nice. But there's all sorts of things, right? The world's a big place. There's a lot to learn. And it's okay if you don't get it at first. Because transitioning is a learning curve. But the longer you do it, the easier it gets, in a sense. So I believe in you and your journey. And I hope you enjoyed this brief look into social transition tips. I didn't really go through certain specifics. This is more of like the broad kind of how to do it. I have like an audio track for how to transition. That's intended for trans women, but maybe the general message applies. I don't know. By the time you see this, you've probably seen the other one I already made. Yes, this is recorded the same time as the other video. It's the Easter weekend. I had a lot of time. So do you like these kind of videos? I hope so, because I already pre-recorded this one. And if you want more trans-related content, I'm here to do that. Every week we have more. We have trans voice tutorials. We have ASMR roleplay stuff, and of course, videos like these. And it's kind of cool talking on a camera, actually. So maybe I'll do more of these. I think it could be helpful. We'll see. So I'm off. I'm gonna go have some food. I'm so hungry. So stay hydrated and know that you are valid. Oh, I did the same thing as last time. Like, I should have gestured to the water bottle when I said stay hydrated instead of the microphone when I said oh well. Happy transing.